Are you having trouble finding campsites this summer? Well, you're probably not alone, and with more RVers on the road than ever before, is it still possible to find a campsite without reservations? We're going to share some of our experiences from just this last week in this video, so stay tuned.
We are Charity, Ben, Dakota, and Trinity. We decided we didn't want to wait for a life of adventure. So in 2017, we bought our first RV and set off to live a life of travel in the USA. We've visited over 38 states in 3 years and have many more to go. Follow along to learn all the best places to see, RV and travel tips, and much more.
So with campgrounds full to the brim, it begs the question, can you still even find a campsite last minute in 2021? So we wanted to share with you some of our experiences that we've had so far, but also give you some tips on how to be able to find a campsite either on short notice, but also with longer notice. Tip number 1 is if you're trying to find a campground in a popular area, maybe look for some campgrounds that are just outside of that particular area. Recently, we broke down outside of the Rapid City, South Dakota area. Now, this is a really popular area because Mount Rushmore is not too far away. There's lots of things that people come to South Dakota to do and to see. And breaking down meant that we were checked out of our campground that we had made reservations at, and we could not find a available campground anywhere in the Rapid City area. Now, this is a very long story, and we did a couple of different videos on exactly what happened and how we got back on the road, so I'll link those above. But we were able to get into a campground in Sturgis, South Dakota, which is about 30 minutes outside of the Rapid City area. They actually had several campsites that were available on a weekend on super short notice that we were able to get into until that we could get repaired and back on the road. So good idea is to look maybe just outside of that area that maybe you're wanting to visit to see if there's campgrounds that are outside of the area a little bit further away that would have some availability. Number 2, one thing that we learned with Harvest Hosts is we actually purchased a Harvest Host membership this year for the very first time. And one thing we did not realize about Harvest Hosts is that you actually have to have reservations to boondock at those locations. They're not just a list of locations where you can pull in and camp for the night. You have to make a reservation in advance. So if Harvest Hosts is something that you're considering, make sure that you look now where you want to potentially be at those locations and make those reservations. Right now, all of the places that we were planning on potentially boondocking that were on the list in Montana and Wyoming as far as farms, they're booked. And so we're making other arrangements for boondocking, such as a Walmart or a Cabela's parking lot for the night, because we didn't realize that when we bought our membership. We thought it was like, oh, these are places to boondock. Well, yes, with reservations. So if that's something that you have, make sure that you're aware that that's the process. Tip number 3, try apps like Spot Tonight or CampNab, and I'll put those in the description below as well. These are apps that you can use to find campgrounds on the fly. Spot Tonight is actually adding more and more campgrounds every single day. And so if you're watching this and you happen to be a campground owner, I'll put a link in the description below as well for you to be able to get your campground connected with Spot Tonight. It's a great way to be able to fill those empty sites on a one-off type of thing for people that are looking for something on short notice. Check with places like Fairgrounds and city and county run parks. Most fairgrounds actually have camping available, and some of them with either partial hookups or full hookups, and the majority of them actually do allow then overnight parking. So you can contact the local fairgrounds office for an area that you might be in if you're needing a place to stay on the fly or in a pinch. So tip number 5, advanced planning is usually always best. I actually developed a trip planning template when we first started traveling and camping, and I have a link below for you for that as well. You can download the template that I've developed and use completely free, and that really helps you to plan these things in advance. The campground that we're staying at here in the National Forest in Montana, this is a spot that I reserved 6 months and 1 week in advance. And if you want to know more about that, I'll put a link above for a whole video on just trip planning. But if you can plan in advance, you've got that better chance of getting those really coveted type of spots, like where we've been staying this week here outside of the West Yellowstone area. So planning in advance is always best, if that's possible for you and your travel style. So you'll have to leave us a comment below and let us know what your camping experience has been like this year. We're always interested in knowing what's happening out there with what you guys are doing with your RV journeys. So leave us a comment below and let us know what your experience has been with getting campgrounds this year and how full those campgrounds have been once that you've gotten there. We also wanted to make you aware that we do have a Patreon group. So Patreon is a place for us to get to know you a little bit better, and where you can share more about your stories and what's going on in your world, and just help us to connect with you on a little bit deeper level. We put real-time updates in our Patreon group, the campgrounds that we're in, just tips and tricks. Probably the most exciting thing that we're able to do with our Patreon members is we're bringing monthly giveaways. So last month we were able to give away an awesome set of the travel towels that we love to use, and I'll put a link below because these travel towels are just revolutionary when it comes to RV living because they dry so fast. But we're able to do things like that for those of you that are supporting us over on Patreon. So you can check that out at the link below, or go to gratefulglamper.com/Patreon. And your support really helps us to focus on content like this that we'll always continue to provide for free on YouTube. But we appreciate your support and couldn't do it without you. You'll also need to let us know in the comments below, what questions do you have about RV life, about camping, about family travel? We would love to hear some of the ideas that you have on what would you like to see in future videos. What questions do you have that maybe we could help answer, or just even share our experiences with you? Let us know below, because we're always looking for feedback on what it is that you're wanting as far as content here on YouTube. So leave us a comment below and definitely let us know. Bit by a horsefly. I know. Put a link in the description. I'm getting bit. Horsefly. Well, we're headed out of our campground in the National Forest outside of West Yellowstone.
Put on the hazards.
And I need to put on the hazards. But we made it with our tank situation, and we didn't run out of water. So maybe, dogs, just maybe more boondocking might be in our future, maybe. If you'd like to see more about our recent breakdown story, which was both horrible and a wonderful experience in and of itself because of what we learned, you can check those videos out right over here. And if you'd like to see more about RV tips, tricks, organization hacks, check those out right over here. Until next time, we will see you on the road.